And you shared that with the people who verified for me the correct rule was Sheikh Ahmed Hilmi. Sheikh Ahmed Hilmi, rahimahullah. All right. So now we are reading in the chapter of Raji'ah, returning the wife or reinstating the wife. Let's read the bare text of Abu Shuja first. The author Abu Shuja says, rahimahullah, fasl, section. وَإِذَا طَلَّقَ امْرَأَتَهُ وَاحِدَةً وَاثْنَتَيْنِ. And when one divorces his woman, yani his wife, once or one time or twice, two times, فَلَهُ مُرَاجَعَتُهَا. Then he has the right to return her or to reinstate her. مَا لَمْ تَنْقَضِ عِدَّتُهَا. As long as her countdown has not terminated. Her iddah. As long as her iddah is still in effect, her countdown is still in effect. It has not terminated. فَإِنْ انْقَضَتْ عِدَّتُهَا. So, if her countdown terminates, حَلَّ لَهُ
Rasim,
نِكَاحُهَا.
huh? What did she say?
حَلَّ لَهُ نِكَاحُهَا بِعَقْدٍ جَدِيدٍ. Then it's permissible for him to marry her with a new contract. So this means returning her is not a marriage contract. Reinstating her itself is not a marriage contract. So as long as she's in her iddah, he can reinstate her. Once her iddah is over, but it was only one or two divorces, then he can remarry her, not return her or reinstate her, remarry her. So then if her countdown passes, then marrying her is lawful for him. Yani marrying her with a new contract. Yani a new marriage. وَتَكُونُ مَعَهُ عَلَى مَا بَقِيَ مِنَ الطَّلَاقِ. And then she will be with him. Yani she will be his wife. With, according to what remains of divorce. Meaning, if he divorced her once and let her iddah pass without returning her, and then he remarried her, then he remarries her with two divorces, not three. If he divorced her twice and then her iddah passed, and then he remarried her, then he remarries her having one divorce left, not three. The author continues to say in the text here, فَإِن طَلَّقَهَا ثَلَاثًا. Now, if he divorced her thrice, three times, لَمْ تَحِلَّ لَهُ. She will not be lawful for him. إِلَّا بَعْدَ وُجُودِ خَمْسِ شَرَائِطِ. Except after the existence, the presence, yani the confirmation of five conditions. انقضاء عدتها منه. Number one, for her countdown from him to finish. The countdown that he put her in, for that to finish. وتزويجها بغيره. For her to be married to someone else. That's two. And now she has to marry another man. وَدُخُولُهُ بِهَا. And وَإِصَابَتُهَا وَإِصَابَتُهَا. وَدُخُولُهُ بِهَا وَإِصَابَتُهَا. And his consummating with her. I'll say it that way for now. When we read in the explanation, maybe I'll say more words. His consummating with her. So it means He has to have sexual intercourse with her, this second one, this new husband here. وَبَيْنُونَتُهَا مِنْهُ, and her being separated from him. بَيْنُونَتُهَا مِنْهُ. Interesting. He didn't say divorce right here. This is not the wording. He didn't say, and for her to be divorced from him. He said a broader word, something that's more encompassing. Her being separated from him. Because there's numerous ways to actually breach a marriage contract. Divorce is only one way to breach a marriage contract out of other ways, such as khula. If we say khula is not a divorce, such as apostasy, which is unlawful, but it does breach the marriage contract, and such as other ways. Now, so does this word mean that any way of breaking the marriage contract will work? I haven't learned that, or if I learned it, I don't recall it. We'll see what's in the explanation here. And if we go to level 3, Book of Marriage level 3, we'll see what's there too. But I'm just drawing your attention to the broadness of his words. He didn't say here, and for her to be divorced from him, he said here something broader. For her to be separated from him means the marriage contract that she had with this second man is now terminated. How? The way he worded it is not restricted to a divorce, but we'll see what we have. If you have a question about what I'm saying right now, go ahead and ask me. And number 5, وَانْقِضَاءُ عِدَّتِهَا مِنْهِ, and the termination of her countdown from him. Okay. Now, do you have any question before I read in the explanation? طيب. So the explainer, and that's Muhammad ibn Qaasim Al-Ghazzi, he said, فصل في أحكام الرجعة, section on the rules of raj'ah. Here's the transliteration of the word itself, raj'ah. He says, so raj'ah means returning. Or, I'm using another word, reinstating, restoring the wife back. Yeah, and restoring the woman back as his wife. الرجعة بفتح الراء وحكي كسرها. So رجعة has a fatha on the ra, meaning this A, letter A here, رجعة. وحكي كسرها, and it was cited to have a kasra, meaning you could say with an I also, رجعة. You can say it this way or that way. Usually you're going to say رجعة. And when you say حكي, it was cited, it gives the impression of being weaker than the first one. وهي لغة المرة من الرجوع. And what this word رجعة means in a linguistic sense, not religious sense, is a single instance of returning once. So, meaning, this word raj'ah here, I'll write up here. Here's the Arabic word, raj'ah, if you can read the Arabic. So it has here this letter, ta marbuta. Ta marbuta has many functions. It's not only for femininity. Amongst its functions is singularity. To have the meaning of singularity. So you say, for example, take this word darb. Darb means a strike. Yani, meaning a hit. So if you say darba with the ta marbuta here, now it means a single hit, one hit. A single instance of it. Or I'll give you another example. You're probably familiar with the word baqarah. Baqarah. This doesn't mean, yeah, I could translate it as cow, but it doesn't mean female per se. The tat marbuta is not there for femininity, rather it's there for meaning a single one. So baqarah means a cow, one cow, could even be a bull, male. You can call him a bull, a male, a baqarah, meaning a single one of those animals. And like that, I'll give you one more. Perhaps you know the word shajar. Shajar means tree. Well, no, it really means trees. Trees. But if I add the tat marbuta, shajarah, now it means a tree, a single one. If I take off tat marbuta from baqarah, and then it's baqar means cows. Okay? So the linguistic meaning of raj'ah is a single instance of returning. Inshallah, that's clear for you. You can ask if you want to. وَشَرْعًا, and legally or religiously, it is رَدُّ الزَّوْجَةِ إِلَى النِّكَاحِ في عدة طلاق غير بائن على وجه مخصوص. All of this is the definition. So if you are being tested in this book, and then the teacher in the test said, define raj'ah, then you would be expected to say this, not something you understand. Don't write on the test what you understand. Write on in the test what's said, what it is said in the book. So if the teacher said, Arif al-raj'ah, define al-raj'ah, then because you studied, you're going to say just like this. رد الزوجة إلى النكاح في عدة طلاق غير بائن على وجه مخصوص. Then take full credit for the question. All points for the question. Meaning, رد الزوجة, returning the wife to the marriage in the idda of a divorce. The idda of a divorce. He specified that this idda is due to a divorce, according to his definition here. He specified that this idda is due to a divorce. Why I'm pausing here? Because you know the marriage can be broken in a number of ways, not just divorce. According to the definition that he put here, then the raj'ah, the returning the wife, is during an idda of divorce, as opposed to an idda of, let's say, apostasy. Yeah, I mean, it definitely doesn't apply there. If apostasy occurred and then the woman got into her idda, there's no raj'ah in this case here. So according to his definition, it is returning the wife to the marriage in a countdown, in idda, a countdown of divorce, in particular, according to his definition, غير بائن, a divorce that is revocable, a revocable divorce, غير بائن, not an irrevocable divorce. What's an irrevocable divorce? Like he divorced her 3 times. This is irrevocable, meaning he can't reinstate her. Or they did khula. So she paid him to release her, so he cannot reinstate her. This is ba'in, which I'm going to translate here as irrevocable. So the raj'ah is returning the wife to the marriage in a divorce, in a countdown of divorce that is a revocable divorce. In the countdown of a revocable divorce. على وجه مخصوص, in a particular way, doing it in a particular way, which is to say some statements, to say some words, as we're going to see. Like for him to say, I now reinstate my wife, or something like that. He has to say it with his tongue. He doesn't have to have witnesses, does not require witnesses. The marriage itself requires witnesses. The divorce does not require witnesses. And reinstating the wife does not require witnesses. So then he says here, in clarifying the definition that he offered us, وخرج بطلاق وطء الشبهة والظهار. He said, excluded by divorce, because he put the word divorce in the definition, the countdown of a divorce. Excluded by divorce is an iddah due to mistaken intercourse. We talked about that before. Yani, if you ever take the chapter or the book of marriage, you're going to, for sure, the case of mistaken intercourse is going to pass you, whether it's in detail or not in detail. The level of detail depends on the book you're going over or the teacher who's giving to you. But Yani, this is, you know how our religion is, so it covers everything. This is something here. This is a real thing. This mistaken intercourse. Like some people who don't have electricity, and then a man comes and he goes to his own bed, let's say, I'm just making up the scenario now, and there's a woman there, he thinks that's his wife, he has intercourse with her, but someone else. Don't ask me how she got there and all of that. Just understand the how this is real thing. So that's not, he's not committing zina here. But this mistaken intercourse could result in, depends on who it's with, could result in breaking a marriage contract. Now, I'm not even prepared to go into the details of that. So just take the general words I'm giving you for now. This, yani, some cases of mistaken intercourse could result in breaking a marriage contract. I'm being non-specific on purpose so that I give you correct information, but without details. Could result in breaking a marriage contract. And then, as a result, there's going to be an iddah. Or there could be an iddah. There could be an iddah. I'm going to come back to that in a second. I want to ask you a question, but let me finish reading what he said here. So, he said, excluded by divorce is a mistaken intercourse. What shubha? So, the meaning of what he's saying is, if a woman were in an iddah because of a mistaken intercourse that happened, he won't be able to reinstate her by a mere raj'ah, return, because it doesn't apply. Return doesn't apply in this case. It's not a case of divorce. وَالظِّهَار. And also, in the case of zihar, what's the zihar? Zihar, as you know, that's when a man says to his wife, you are to me like the back of my mother, or something similar to that. And what the statement means is he's saying to her, I will not have intercourse with you like I don't have it with my mother. So when he says that to his wife, this is not a divorce. That statement alone is not a divorce. It used to be a divorce for the Arabs before Islam, but the Prophet ﷺ clarified that this statement is not a valid divorce. Rather, it's just a major sin for hurting the wife in this way, for offending the wife in this way. It's a major sin. And if he does that, then he has to free a slave, or fast for 2 consecutive months, or feed 60 poor Muslims, Yani, unless he divorces her immediately. Yani, if he does that to his wife, he has to divorce her immediately or fulfill a kafara. So, and if he doesn't do either, if he neither divorces her nor fulfills a kafara, then intercourse with her is forbidden until he, yani, is forbidden. He has to do this or that. And then in the meantime, intercourse with this wife that he compared to his mother is off limits. So the explainer is saying to us, in the case of zihar, and she's in her idda due to a zihar, he cannot reinstate her. And by the way, why he can't have intercourse with her? Because he said she's like his mother. So if she's like his mother, then khalas. Then it's forbidden for him to have intercourse with her. He needs to either divorce her or fulfill a kafara. And until then, she intercourse is off limits. Question. You have a question, Islam? Go ahead if you want to take the mic.
Yeah, Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
So does the man is he still obligated to take care of her? If
I don't know.
Okay.
You mean in the meantime, he said to his wife that bad statement,
Yes.
and he didn't divorce her yet.
Yes. Is he
Is
still
he obligated to support her in the meantime? I don't know.
Yeah. All right. Barakallahu fi.
I mean, Wafiq.
I have another question.
Yes.
In case of Azhar, him not to be sinful, he has to divorce her immediately, right? But can he divorce her once and then return her, or it got to be three here when we say divorce?
I need to review the details of his divorcing her under this circumstance. Under this circumstance of lihar. The explainer is saying, in this case of lihar, he can't bring her back.
That's why I was asking. It's okay. No problem.
I mean, what iyyakum. Plate. Question here. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How does a husband return his wife? So you got the answer already, right? He says, for example, I now reinstate my wife, or something similar to that. Question: death of the husband is not a divorce, just a termination of the marriage. It's definitely not a divorce. Is it counted as a termination of the marriage? I don't know. I haven't heard this wording so that I can say it. Question: does a woman who did khula have an idda? Yes. If the marriage was that brings me to the question I wanted to ask. When is it that a woman's gonna have an idda? When what is the thing that's gonna make her have an idda? This question was posed before. What makes what thing makes a woman have an idda? I'm not talking about breaking the marriage, but there's something that happened while she was married that when the marriage gets broken is going to make her have an idda. What is that? 5, 4, 3. Menses? No. 2. Open the mic. Let me open the mic. Uh-huh. Mic's open. 2. One and a half.
Suspension?
No. 1.
Breaking?
You said breaking?
Yes.
Breaking of the
No.
Breaking of the marriage?
No. The answer is consummation. If the woman's if her marriage was consummated, yani her husband consummated the marriage with her, then she's gonna have an iddah. If the marriage were not consummated and then he divorced her, there's no iddah.
I have another question.
Yes.
First part. A man divorces his wife in 1 or 2, and then before he returns her, the idda passed. In this case, if she volunteers, he's going to bring her back, or still she is obligated him to return her.
In this case, what?
A man divorced his wife
Yes.
2 times.
He divorced his wife and he let the iddah pass without returning her.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if he wants to return her, she has to be volunteer, or is she obligated to be returned?
So if he wants to return her after her iddah passes, he cannot return her after her iddah passes. In order to get back with her after her iddah passes, he has to remarry her.
But if she doesn't want to?
If she doesn't want to, she doesn't have to.
That's what.
I mean, what iyakum. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
So I thought you had to order to have the marriage finalized. You had to consummate the marriage. So,
in order for the marriage to be finalized, they have to consummate the marriage. I think you are mixing something. I think you are mixing when he divorced her 3 times and then they want to get back together. And then she has to marry another man and then consummate that marriage too. And then get divorced from that other man, for example, that second man, and then finish her iddah from him, then she can get back with the first one. But what we are saying right now is, if a man divorced his wife, is she going to have an iddah or not? So then we're going to look, was the marriage consummated or not? So if the marriage was consummated, then yes, she will have an iddah. If the marriage were not consummated, then she does not have an iddah.
thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. The explainer says, فَإِنَّ اسْتِبَاحَةَ الْوَطُءِ فِيهِمَا بَعْدَ زَوَالِ الْمَانِعِ لَا تُسَمَّى رَجْعَةً. Indeed, the legality of having intercourse in these two cases, after the case of mistaken intercourse, and after the case of zihar, being able to be with this woman again intimately after these cases is not called raj'ah. وَإِذَا طَلَّقَ شَخْصٌ امْرَأَتَهُ وَاحِدَةً أَوْ اثْنَتَيْنِ. So when a person divorced his woman, meaning his wife, once or twice, فَلَهُ بِغَيْرِ إِذْنِهَا مُرَاجَعَتُهَا, then he has the right, without her permission, yani even without her permission, even without her acceptance, he has the right to return her, to reinstate her. مَا لَمْ تَنْقَضِ عِدَّتُهَا, as long as her countdown has not passed. Without her permission, yes. Like you knew before you married him, because you took the time to learn your religion. So you knew before you even got married that if your husband divorced you and your marriage was consummated and you were in your iddah, he only divorced you once or twice, that he can bring you back without your acceptance. And just like you knew that he could have another wife also. And so that's why he doesn't even have to ask your permission to get another wife. You already knew he could have another wife. So he can, without her permission, reinstate her as long as her countdown has not expired. وتحصل الرجعة من الناطق بألفاظ, and the return from someone who is able to pronounce, so he's not a mute. The return of someone who is not a mute, not a mute or not dumb, he's able to pronounce. The return of such a one occurs by wordings. Yani some wordings, they all have the same meaning. Minha, such as Raja'tuki, I return you, or I reinstate you. In this case, he's addressing her. وَمَا تَصَرَّفَ مِنْهَا, and like any version of that. I reinstate you. I have reinstated you. Like, yani, I am a reinstater of yours into the marriage, for example. وَالْأَصَحُّ أَنَّ قَوْلَ الْمُرْتَجِعِ رددتك لنكاحي وأمسكتك عليه صريحان في الرجعة. And what's correct, what's most accurate, is that the one who is reinstating, if he were to say, I have reinstated you or returned you to my marriage, or if he were to say, I have held fast to you, then these are explicit reinstatement statements. These are explicit reinstatement statements. وأن قوله تزوجتك أو نكحتك كنايتان. But what if he said, to return his wife, he said, I marry you, but he means I return you? Then the explainer is saying, what's most accurate is that this is a return, but it's indirect. This would mean needs an intention. If it's indirect, this would mean, to say it this way, would need an intention of returning her. When we say that one of them is explicit, like to say, Radatuki li nikahi, I reinstate you into my marriage. That's explicit. This means does not require an intention. To merely say it verbally in such an explicit way is enough to reinstate her, regardless of whether he were playing or not. But for him to say, I marry you, and he means I reinstate you, or I return you, then it requires the intention that's what he means. وَشَرْطُ الْمُرْتَجِعِ إِنْ لَمْ يَكُنْ مُحْرِمًا أَهْلِيَةُ النِّكَاحِ بِنَفْسِهِ. And the condition of the one who is reinstating the wife, if he is not a pilgrim, is being qualified to conduct a marriage independently. Being qualified to conduct a marriage independently. The condition of the one who is reinstating his wife, other than a pilgrim, is being qualified to conduct a marriage independently. وحينئذ فتصح رجعة السكران لا رجعة المرتد ولا رجعة الصبي والمجنون. And therefore, accordingly, it's valid for a drunk person to reinstate his wife because he can do a marriage. What does it mean to be able to do a marriage independently? Like you as a male would not need a guardian. Sometimes a male needs a guardian for his marriage. So when a male does not need a guardian for his marriage, then this means that he can conduct a marriage independently. This independence in conducting a marriage will start at puberty. If he has something that blocks him from being independent in conducting his marriage after puberty, then that's an extraneous thing, something that happened that made him unable to do so. So accordingly, the divorce of a drunk person, the return of a drunk person is valid, but not the return of an apostate. An apostate returning his wife is not valid, nor the return of a boy, a prepubescent boy. He cannot return his wife because he cannot do a marriage independently. He would need his guardian. Nor the return of an insane person. He cannot conduct a marriage on his own. He needs a guardian. لأن كل منهم غير أهل للنكاح بنفسه, because each one of these is unqualified to conduct a marriage independently. So then his return is not valid. بخلاف السفيه والعبد ورجعتهما صحيحة من غير إذن الولي والسيد. As opposed to a fool, or an irresponsible person if you want, a safih, an irresponsible person, and a slave. The reinstating or the reinstatement done by an irresponsible person is valid. An irresponsible person is reinstating his wife. This is valid without the permission of a guardian. And for a slave man to reinstate his wife, this is valid without the permission of his master. Who's this fool here? The Safi. The Safi, or irresponsible one. He is the one who is barred from conducting deals with his own money. He is barred from the use of his own money. Being barred from the use of his own money extends to also issues of other contracts like marriage. This one, even though he's pubescent, he then has a guardian or the likes of a guardian. So who's going to be the guardian for this irresponsible one? He's pubescent, by the way. This pubescent, irresponsible one, the judge, for example. Or an officer that the Muslim judge, when I say judge, I mean the Muslim judge, or an officer that the Muslim judge appoints over him. Then when he wants to do some things, he has to go back to this officer or back to this judge in order to do it. The explainer is telling us this irresponsible one, he can reinstate his wife without going back to his guardian or judge or officer. And the slave man, he can reinstate his wife without seeking the permission of his master. وَإِن تَوَقَّفَ ابْتِدَاءُ نِكَاحِهِمَا عَلَى إِذْنِ الْوَلِيِّ وَالسَّيِّدِ. Although initiating a marriage for this irresponsible one or this slave man does require the permission of the guardian or the master, but the return without the permission of the guardian or the master for these two is valid. I think we're going to go over a little bit. I can't go over, actually. I need to stop here. Subhanallah. So we'll continue, inshallah ta'ala, next week. Subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. I was just getting one.